Domenic,
How are you?
how's your last name pronounced?
It's Iacovone.
Iacovone? That's
Iacovone.
Americanized Italian, huh?
Yeah, so I think it's supposed to be Iacovone.
Iacovone,
yeah,
maybe.
so that's how like my like grandpa says it. Is like Iacovone.
I know you like the movie Casino.
I do.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that on a podcast,
Yep.
and I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, Scorsese is great.
Yes.
He does like a 2-hour movie, and it
Yes.
feels like a life.
A life, literally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's one. I think that's one of like the greatest like Italian like mob movies ever. I love Joe Pesci. Great movie.
Yeah, it's funny because we're in Vegas, and I always when I come to Vegas,
Have you been to Old Vegas?
Fremont Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
I think they used the Stardust for the movie.
Yeah.
But they named it Tangier or
Correct.
whatever.
Yeah.
And that's actually the site where the Olympia takes place now.
Really?
The Comrade, yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
There's
that.
even there's like a plate when you come in,
Yeah.
remembering in memory of the Stardust.
Really?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
that's funny. But that's not what you're here for. You're the founder of Raw Nutrition,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Tell us the story
About Raw?
about Raw.
Sure. So we started, Matt and I, Jansen and I, started a company first called Revive MD, which is our vitamin company. And we actually were like the first people to make like a vitamin company only geared towards bodybuilding. So basically like liver, kidney, all the things that you would need as a bodybuilder to, get healthy or stay healthy while you competed. And what we did that was unique was we third-party tested all of our products and we would post the results on the website. So for example, like if you bought our product, you could look at the lot number on the product and then you could go online, type that lot number in, and you would actually get like the results of the bottle that you have at your house. And the transparency that we were giving was very unique and people really liked it. So as we kept growing the brand and we brought Chris Bumstead on as an athlete, we kept getting asked to make protein and pre-workout because they loved the third-party testing and they loved the ability to see all that. But we wanted to keep the Revive brand very clinical and like very like medical, and the marketing would have been very different for Raw. So we decided that if we were going to do it, we were going to do it under a new company. And if we were going to create a new company, we needed to find someone who we knew could blow it up right away, just because there's too many supplement companies already. There's thousands of them, right? So what can we do to make us unique? And at that point, it was like, the products are the products. We can third-party test them, but let's be honest, most pre-workout is just the same ingredients, right? So we went to Chris and we were like, hey, look, we want to create this brand. There's a lot of demand for it. We don't want to do it with anybody else. But
So at what time of his
this was
career?
2019.
He already
So
was Mr. Olympia.
he had
19 was his first.
Correct. So it was right before his first.
Yeah, right.
And so he was still popular for sure, but he wasn't like Chris now, right? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So that was, I think, if I can remember correctly, we were the first brand that ever did like an equity partnership with an athlete. Until this point, people were, you were getting like your yearly contracts and things like that, but no one actually extended an equity position to an athlete. And I think that's really what made Chris lean in so hard to the brand. And obviously it's nice because, when you're building, you don't have to replace that face every year. You got them for good and you can build the brand and you can really do special things with it. And that's really what we did. So he agreed. I remember we launched the Savage pre-workout right before that Olympia. And I mean, dude, the rest was history. It was insane what happened. It was the coolest thing ever.
How did you pick Chris?
There was only one person that I would have done this with, to be honest. So the way it worked was it only made sense for us to do this brand if Chris could do it with us. And I honestly, to this day, there's one other athlete. When is this going to be posted? I can give you guys a little sneak peek on something if you don't post it until after Saturday.
When can we post it?
Can you post it after the Olympia?
Yes, we can.
All right. The only other athlete that we would think is good enough to do this is Sam Sulek.
Mhm.
And we just signed Sam. So Sam is part of Raw now too.
Good enough in terms of success, or
yeah, just in general, like the draw, the publicity, all the things that, when you look at building a brand, like what do I think can move the lever in a similar way that Chris did? And I would argue that I don't think Sam can do it in the way Chris did, but I think Sam has a very similar ability to do something like that with his following. So we just did a partnership with Sam for 3D Energy, which is our energy drink company, and then also with Raw for supplements. So it's, I think that we obviously couldn't give him equity of Raw, but we did give him the equity piece of 3D. And I think that that's what athletes want now. They want to feel like they have an opportunity to almost like have an exit eventually, right? Because at the end of the day, you're only as good as you are that year in the terms of being a sponsored athlete. So if you're there and you're great, the next year, God forbid you get hurt, God forbid something happens, God forbid you have to retire from bodybuilding. Like, what do you do after? You know, and a lot of these guys they're not stupid. You know, some of them are, but some of them are really looking for their future and saying, look, I want to set myself up for success. I want to make sure that I don't have to do this forever. And I'll do what it takes to get to that point. So like, I love that because they also have skin in the game. You know, like having Sam as a partner means that his payout is a direct representation of how much work he puts in, you know, and Chris was the same way. So I feel like that was a really cool thing that we pioneered. And I'm really proud to say that we're continuing to do it.
Yeah, that's the one part, that your athlete, he has skin in the game. The other part is if somebody gets co-owner of your company, there has to be a set of values, right? It's not only about following or something.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, it absolutely has to be that. So like for me, my biggest thing is we don't sponsor anybody who doesn't have the same values that we do at Raw. And I think you can kind of tell by the people we have around. They're very like it's like brotherly, right? Like everyone here, they feel like family. We do fun stuff together. At the end of the day, you want to be able to do this and do cool stuff with people you enjoy being around. And I think that that's a really important thing when you're picking athletes or when you're building a brand. It's all about the culture of the brand. It's all about the way they carry themselves when you're not around, because they're representing the brand when you're not around. I feel like we've done a really good job of that.
We just talked to Chris, and I remember competing with him in 18, and he was very popular before he won his first Olympia. So what do you think? Why is this?
He is super vulnerable. I think the reason why Chris was so successful in general, I think when people talk about Chris, like one of the things that I always try to say is, number one, I don't think Chris is like a famous bodybuilder. I think that Chris is almost like celebrity-like when it comes to his presence, because people who don't bodybuild know who Chris is, right? Like it's very rare that people who don't know bodybuilding know who a bodybuilder is. So for me, when I think about Chris and when I think about everything that he's done, I really do feel like his vulnerability when he was younger. In 2019, he basically was very vulnerable. And when he got hurt, do you remember when he got hurt? He had the kidney issue. He was in the hospital. He was talking about all the issues that happened. I think when he did that, people started to feel like they could be more emotional and open up more. And I truly think that's what grabbed everyone's attention. I think when he did that, it was one of those things where people were like, holy shit, this kid's real. Like he's like us. He doesn't just post the good, he posts the bad. He talks about the bad. And I think that buy-in and then him running with it, right? Like his vlogs are very original. They're unedited. That now they're different than they were, but I just feel like people felt like they could relate to Chris. And I think that that's absolutely what made him explode when he did.
So that was a good bet on your side.
Yeah.
How did you find him? I mean, you don't have a business background, do you?
No, I mean, I had
medical background.
Yeah, so I had a medical background, but the reason how I knew Chris was strictly because he was a Revive athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So I met him through Ian because Matt, our partner, coached Ian. So there was that relationship there already. And the cool thing with Revive was when we started Revive, all the sports nutrition companies didn't have like organ vitamins. They didn't make those. So if we could go sponsor anybody, because it was just so cheap to do it. Like for example, at the time, Chris was sponsored by Jack Factory, but Jack Factory didn't make vitamins. Mm-hmm. So that was not an exclusion in his contract. So we went in and said, hey, we'll pay you an extra $2,500 a month, which is nothing compared to what we got out of it. But we couldn't afford any more than that. We were a new company, we didn't have a huge budget. Like I've never started a company with someone else's money. We've started every company with our own money. Mm-hmm. Never took investment, never did anything. So for that, it was so nice because we could go to all the best bodybuilders and say, hey, we'll give you $2,500 a month. So we were signing some of the biggest names in the industry. And we kind of just learned how to do this. Like we didn't have experience in bodybuilding. We didn't have experience in supplements, but I would argue that running a business is really about relationships, treating people well, and knowing how to manage money. So I think if you can do all three of those things and you're a good, honest person, you're going to do really well in business. And that's really what we've done. We've kept our morals, our values, everything has never changed since the second we started Raw or Revive. Our goal is to just make the best quality products, to deliver awesome, quality, and really just be very transparent in everything we do. And it's not about being the best. It's about giving your best, right? Like being 100% effort, starting from the ground up and just being true to yourself. That's what this brand is built on, and that's what we still build this brand on today.
So actually you're a chiropractic, right?
Correct.
So tell us about how you decided, or why did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's a funny story. So I was in my residency at school, and I was working with a doctor it was Jupiter, Florida. His name is Dr. Scuderi. He's actually a partner in a company I have today. And I remember I went there, and he was, I was shadowing him, basically, like watching him do what he was doing. And he, like, at the end of the day, he like pulled me in his office, and he's like, man, he's like, don't do this shit. He's like, you never want to trade your time for money. You never want to have like a point in your life where you're trading hours of your life for a dollar bill, because then you're limited by the hours in the day and you can't make more than you work. And I'll never forget it. I like looked at him and I was like, holy shit, this guy's right. Like, I don't want to fucking do this. Like, there's no way I want to do this. I know that I need to figure out a way to make money when I'm not in the room. I want to figure out a way to be successful when I don't have to trade my time for it, because eventually, what do we all want to do? We want to spend time with our families. We want to be able to make more money in different places and have different streams of income. And I knew immediately at that point that, like, there's no fucking way I'm doing this. So I went back to school and I called my mom and I told her, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do this. I think this is what I want to do. And she was like, are you fucking kidding me? She's like, you just went to school for 8 years to be a doctor and you want to just stop? And then I was like, no, I want to open a medical office, but I want to do all these different things instead. So I ended up opening those medical offices and I franchised those. And yeah, I never practiced a day of chiropractic in my whole life. Like I never did. I got my diploma and that was it.
And how did you get the idea to go into
the vitamins?
Nutrition?
Yeah. So Matt actually at the time I knew him through, I don't remember exactly how I met him, but I used to compete when I was younger and I was going through school, like just like amateur stuff. And then what happened was I reached out to Matt to coach me because I had started the medical offices. And to be honest, like when you start a business, your health and your diet, all that shit kind of goes to the side, right? You're really focused more so on just building the business by any means necessary, whatever it takes. So I definitely let my health go. Like I wasn't fat by any means, but I was definitely not in the best shape I have ever been in. So I had him start prepping me or just like getting me back in shape. And we just started to like we got along, we would talk. And, eventually one day I was like, hey man, like if you ever, like I want to do something with you where you don't have to coach forever, because I feel like, no coach wants to coach forever, same thing, trading time for money, and he was like, yeah, like that's awesome. I would love to do that. And then one day, like we just had, I don't remember who called who, but we had an idea. And the idea was basically like, we should start a vitamin company, because I was spending a fortune on orthomolecular vitamins from my medical offices. I was like their #1 seller, because when people would get on hormone replacement therapy, I would put them on like the vitamin program too. And then he obviously had all these clients that he was coaching, and he was putting all of them to Amazon to go buy their vitamins. So we're like, let's just make vitamins, right? Like it's a no-brainer. There's no competition in the space. We can take the space over. So we basically came out with 2 at the time. One was liver and one was Tudka. At the time it was just Tudka. It was kidney and Tudka. So it was just Tudka for one single ingredient. And then kidney was, at the time, I think it was 16 pills a day, which was crazy that people took that many pills a day. But yeah, that's how we started. And that's how that turned into then Raw, which has turned into Bum Energy. And then it's been this like evolving door of brands.
Yeah, you say it turned into Raw, but these things, they don't happen by themselves, right?
For sure, yeah.
You have to make a decision to say, I want more.
Yeah. I don't know if it was I want more. I think at this point in my life, like it's like a game and you like want to win the game, right? It's not like, I don't think I want more, like it's not a monetary thing anymore. Like I don't need to work. I don't need to work another day in my life if I don't want to. It's more so like I want to win. Like I'm a very fucking competitive person. And I still think we have a lot to do in the space. And I think we have a lot of runway to do it. Like we're going to be the biggest brand in the US. If it's not this year, it'll be next year. And I don't mean sports nutrition. I mean like nutrition. Like I would argue that we may be the biggest sports nutrition brand already, but I'm talking like going after the big boys now, like, like the Unilever brands and those types of brands. So, and I feel like we absolutely have the ability to do it.
The reason we're sitting here is because a German brand, I mean, am meisten sehen das wahrscheinlich deutsche Zuschauer, ne? a German brand. You're working together with
Correct.
Quality Group
Yes.
now.
Yep.
ESN,
Yep.
More Nutrition.
Yep.
So let us know how everything is structured now and how it evolved.
Yeah.
To this
So
point.
it's funny actually. We decided last year that we wanted to go into a process to take the brand to the next level. So we wanted to find a strategic partner to help us grow the brand and honestly like sell some of it for some equity. So we started a process, and that's when you hire a bank, and then the bank kind of brings people to you for bidding, and you go into like this bidding war, and you pick the brand or you pick who you think is the best fit for you. So we did tons of meetings, and to be honest, the Quality Group didn't offer the most money. Like they did not offer the most money for the brand, but what they did offer is, and I'll be honest with you, that meeting I'll never forget. It was Heikki was directly in front of me, Chris Wolf was to the left of me, and then Chan from CVC was to the right of me, and I really liked Heikki. Heikki was very smart, very attentive, and I also really loved that what CVC and the Quality Group did with ESN and More in 2 years is, I would argue, exactly what I want to do with Raw, right? Same kind of metrics. They bought them at the same price. They grew them to what we need to be grown to, and they were able to do it, and they went through all the pain, all the mistakes, and they figured out how to do it. And for me, that's what I need. I need that more than I need money, right? This wasn't a money grab. It was more so to get the right strategic partner to grow this brand to where it needs to be, and with the right leadership and with the right capital. So although it wasn't the most monetary value on the first bite of, let's say, the apple, I would argue that the second bite is going to be substantially bigger because I have the right partner to do this with. And I was petrified to do this because we're very like in our ways, like there's certain things we do that traditional, PE or whatever you want to call it would be like against. And what I will say is since this deal happened, we signed the deal on April 1st. It has been probably one of the greatest experiences I've ever had, as far as, Heikki being a great leader to me, Heikki trusting me 100% to do what I do and not stepping in at all to try to like do things a different way. And I think that that's what you need, right? You need this partnership where you trust each other, you hold each other accountable, but you're also able to deliver on the results you say you're going to deliver, and you grow exactly the way you intend to grow. And I can honestly say, like, I've never had the ability to go hire the team that I have now. The team I have, I would put against any team in the US. It's maybe the world, probably the greatest team out there as far as like my whole entire C-suite, even all the way down to the warehouse. Like we just really took our time, we hired the right people, and that was all through their help and guidance, right? Like different interview processes, bringing on a really good CFO, a COO, a whole finance and accounting, just things that I never had the privilege of having. So I never had the visibility into the business that I have today. So I can make much more educated decisions on what to do to be more successful. And to be fair, taking me out of the day-to-day of every single little thing in the business and letting me kind of high level work on the relationships and work on the things that like this, bringing the community together, is where I need to be. Mm-hmm. So what I've been able to do by sitting in that seat has substantially grown the brand so much since they've been on board, because I'm not in the weeds every day doing the shit I shouldn't be doing. So for me, it was the best decision we ever made. And I hope it continues to be that way. But the way the structure is now is basically, if you want to look at it as think of like More, ESN, Raw, and Bum Energy are all owned by the Quality Group. And then what we did is we sold half of the business basically to the Quality Group. So they paid out, and then we rolled our equity into the Quality Group. So now we are basically co-owners of the Quality Group.
Skin in the game.
So we all have skin in the game for the greater good, and that's awesome for us, because I obviously wouldn't have partnered with the Quality Group. I didn't think it was going to be a successful partnership. So the way that I see it now is we have skin in the game. We deleveraged our risk a little bit because now we have the opportunity for all 4 brands to do extremely well. And so that's kind of how it is now. So we have the Quality Group. Heikki's the CEO of the Quality Group. And he's fantastic. He's been a pleasure to work with.
So are there parallels in being successful in bodybuilding and in business?
I would argue that if people can do bodybuilding, they can do anything. Because
but almost nobody does, right?
That's on them. I would argue that the discipline it takes to be a bodybuilder is far more difficult than the discipline it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. But what I would say is I think people fail at entrepreneurship because they chase money and they don't chase like passion. I would argue that if I didn't love what I did every day, I would never be able to be as successful as I am because I would quit. I just wouldn't want to wake up and do it because I don't have a passion to do it. Like there are days where I wake up and I'm like, this sucks. Like, fuck this job. You know, I don't want to go in, but I love it. And I'm not going to, this brand is my child. You know, like this is my first kid, really. My second kid is my son, but this was my first thing, you know? So for me, it's like, there's no world where I let this fail no matter what. And I would argue that all three of us or four of us feel the same way. You know, Chris, Matt, and Maddie, we would all do whatever it takes to make this brand successful. And I think that's why ultimately it is so successful.
That would have been my next question, because I mean, you're super successful. What's the difference between somebody being okay successful and someone who's going the next step?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a good question. What makes
you
someone...
probably could have stopped working
100%. Yeah, no doubt, for sure. I think that it all ties back to like, this isn't about money. You know, like this is about being able to walk my son into a store and say like, that's dad's company. You know, like I don't want it to be dead in 2 years. I don't want this brand to be just another sports nutrition brand that's around for 5 or 6 years and then it turns to shit and then no one ever, people talk about how awesome it used to be. You know, like I want this to be a generational brand. I want people to look at this brand 10 years from now and be like, damn, that's still the brand.
This used to be an American thing.
Yeah.
The only company I can remember that has been around for a long time is Universal Nutrition, which was my first sponsor.
Yeah.
They've been around since 1977.
Yep.
Still there.
Yep.
And then I don't want to mention names, but there were companies that had the best athletes.
Yeah.
Became the biggest booth at the expos and disappeared.
Yeah, I would argue that person is in it for the money. You know, like trust me when I tell you, after our first acquisition, none of us need to work ever again. Like none of us do. But that's not why we did it. You know, we did it to like go all in. The goal wasn't to make the most money. Like I said, if we wanted that, we wouldn't have done the deal with the quality group. But our goal was to get the resources we need to make this thing fucking amazing and just so special. And I think that when you're doing things for passion and granted, like we probably have between Chris and myself and Matt, the most competitive owners at wanting to win anything we do, right? Like we compete in anything and everything just to be the best we can be, right? Like how can we be a better dad? How can we be a better business partner? How can we be a better friend? How can we be a better husband? You know, those are all things we think about every single day and we hold each other to a very high standard. So I think as long as we have each other pushing us, I don't think anyone can push us harder than that. So it's funny because like, we'll have calls with the quality group and like, you know, the C team and they're like trying to push us. And I'm like, guys, like, trust me, like whatever you think you're trying to push, like we're pushing harder. Like no one is more competitive than us. And like, we're coming to be better than y'all. So like, just buckle up, you know, and that's the mentality we've always had. And I truly believe that's why we are where we are. I think that when you look at other sports nutrition brands that have sold or bring in a CEO that isn't a co-founder or isn't like in it to like for the culture, that's where things go bad. You know, it's not about the money for us. And that's why no one's ever going to beat us.
So how do you balance this this drive for the company and family, your son?
Yeah.
How do you balance?
So it's
because you could always do more, right?
You can, yeah. And that's something that if I'm being honest, I still struggle with today. You know, I don't think I'm the perfect mix of work-life balance. And if I'm being honest, I don't think anyone who's in my shoes is. I don't think anyone can really do that. I think there will be a point where I can. And, you know, I've given myself like a date in my head where I know like at that point, I'm going to bring someone in to run the companies and I'm going to take some time off and really enjoy my life and my family. But that's going to be when I feel like we're ready for that and we're not ready for that yet. You know, so for me, I think it's in my head and I don't know if this is the right answer and I don't know if this will even happen, but I have a date in my head where it's like once Enzo's X age, where he's going to like remember, I want to be there all the time. I don't want to miss anything, you know, but right now where he's still kind of not remembering, because I look back when I was a kid and granted, I know there's like developmental value of being around and I'm definitely around. I have my quality time with my son, but I know that me being around for when it really matters is ultra important to me. So I want to be like fully able to do all of that stuff when that happens. So like work super hard now to be able to do that later.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. Appreciate
Great.
it.
Thanks.